Thank you, Chairman. Today, we'll examine America's leadership in combating the worsening climate crisis as we head into the 28th UN Climate Summit, known as COP28. And we need to demonstrate our nation's commitment to standing with our allies in the fight against climate change. After all, we're out of time for denialism and obstruction. The science on climate change is indisputable. Earlier this month, the fifth National Climate Assessment underscored the need for urgent action to combat this threat. And while the United States has taken steps to dramatically cut greenhouse gas emissions, more action is needed now to avoid the most catastrophic consequences associated with climate change. We can and must protect our communities from the devastating impacts of the climate crisis while growing our economy and cutting costs for consumers as we lead the way in the global clean energy transition. Yet time and again, House Republicans have prioritized their polluters over people agenda. They've tried to undermine and repeal critical climate programs established in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, despite these programs helping communities in their districts. And Republicans have also attacked the Biden administration for proposing regulations to address carbon pollution from the oil and gas industry, power plants, and vehicles. And while Republicans tout an all-of-the-above energy approach, they continue to push back against policies that accelerate clean energy development and reduce emissions. So I think it's time for my Republican colleagues to change course because their polluters over people agenda is costing taxpayer dollars and lives. Our nation now experiences an extreme weather event with damages over $1 billion once every 3 weeks. These events are deadly and they are destroying homes and livelihoods. Now, COP28 provides an opportunity for the United States to demonstrate climate leadership on the international stage. Climate change is a global problem, and that means we need both domestic solutions and international cooperation. This year, countries will participate in the first global stock take, the most extensive assessment of global climate action. This will help inform future commitments by parties to the convention, including India, Russia, and China. America's participation in COP is essential if we're to hold nations accountable to their Paris commitments while driving more ambitious actions moving forward. The Biden administration has already displayed climate leadership in preparation for this year's conference. China and the United States recently agreed to set reduction targets for all greenhouse gases, marking the first time that China has committed to addressing superpollutants like methane and hydrofluorocarbons. And this is critical since China is the world's largest methane emitter. Democrats understand the seriousness and urgency of the climate crisis. That's why we passed historic climate legislation last Congress. These policies are already creating new jobs, cutting costs for working families, and advancing homegrown clean energy, all while tackling the climate crisis. The down payment in these laws, along with the strong regulatory framework proposed by the Biden administration, will complement our nation's international efforts. We simply must use every tool in our toolbox if we're going to stop the worst-case climate scenario. And many states, local governments, and individual businesses are already moving forward to reduce emissions. It's imperative that the federal government lead the charge and help them in these efforts and spur further action in communities across the country. We must discuss ways to help communities better adapt to the changes that we're already seeing. We need to modernize and upgrade our infrastructure to ensure vital services like water, sewer, electricity, telecommunications, and transportation are more resilient. And this important work will make our communities safer and better prepared for extreme weather events and will provide good-paying jobs and the modern, flexible infrastructure that will help us grow our economy for the future. So as we move forward, we would hope that this is a bipartisan effort. We join as partners amongst Democrats and Republicans to address climate change and take climate actions because, after all, the worsening climate crisis affects all of us. And I yield back the balance of my time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.